The long, seductive tail of the pitching leech attracts trout from a distance. This simple pattern not only imitates leeches, but in the right colors makes a passable damsel nymph. I prefer to fish this pattern either under an indicator or cast and retrieved using an erratic hand twist coupled with prolonged pauses. Here are the materials you will need to tie the pitching leech. So let me introduce you to the pitching leech. Into the jaws of the vise, I've placed a Mustad C49S curved scud hook, in this case a number 10. This is the most common size I tie this fly in. Number 8 would probably be the next size up. You could do it in number 12s as well. The bead is going to help undulate or pitch it, as its name would suggest as well, but to augment that and to really accent that pitching motion, I'm going to attach a layer of 10 thou lead wire. Just going to wrap that around the hook shank. I'm using a bobbin to help dispense it. I'm just going to rotate the bobbin tight and just snap it, and then use my thumbnail to break away. And then I'm going to push this up inside the bead. This is just going to concentrate more weight at the head of the fly. And then we're just going to take some UV clear fly finish in thin formulation, and I'm just going to squeeze out a little drop of this onto the lead wire. Let that flow around a little bit. I'm just going to take our dubbing needle and take that around, and then once we're happy with the placement, going to come in with our little torch, light, sunlight in a tube. In about 8 to 10 seconds this is cured, so that helps lock the lead in place and give it a smooth coating when we attach our tying thread. And for the tying thread, we're going to use some black thread. Attach that directly behind the lead and wind it into the bend of the hook. Trim away the excess. And then take our tying thread back up to the rear of the lead, and then we're going to tie in our tail material. And for the tail, we're going to use some black marabou in this case. We're going to make a black pitching leech. I tie these in olive, claret, or maroon, whatever color you like to call that, and black. Of course, there's other colors you're welcome to use as well. And I'm looking for a marabou plume that has lots of fiber on the feather. Gives the illusion of, this one here will work. See how these fibers have lots of little barbs sticking out of them, so I'm just going to grab the marabou by the tip, stroke the fibers down to stand and even the fibers. And then I'm just going to start stripping by pulling down to strip from the stem. When I can't manage that pull anymore, I take what I've stripped, roll it onto what I haven't stripped, and then strip again. So we strip and roll the marabou off the stem to get our clump of marabou for the tail. And if I've done this correctly, you should see a relatively even tail, which we've got here. Now the tail on this fly is long, so it really accents the undulation factor, if you will. So that's a shank length approximately. That's a shank length, and that's probably what I'm going to go with, is 2 shank lengths out the back. Slide my fingers up to where the thread is hanging, re-grip, and then I'm going to trim that waste material away. And I know the remainder of the material in between my left thumb and forefinger in this case is going to be the right length for the tail. A couple of wraps around to secure everything, and then just lift up slightly onto the shank as I tie it, and this will help secure make sure that the tail stays righted on top. You can even throw a few wraps underneath to also help cock the tail up. And then I'm going to move the tying thread back up forward of the body, because we're going to tie some tail flash in here as well. And for the tail flash, I'm just going to use some crystal mirror flash. You could use pearl, mylar as well. This stuff's got a really nice, attractive sparkle to it. So we're going to take 2 strands of this material, pull them from the package, moisten them to keep them together. I'm going to tie them on top of the hook shank. I've got roughly an equal amount of material protruding forward and backward of the tie-in point, and I'm just going to take the first 2 materials trailing from behind the tie-in point and secure them along the side of the shank so they lie along the sides of the tail. Take the tying thread forward again to the tie-in point, get those other 2 strands that are forward of the initial tie-in point, pull them back over the top, and then secure them down the far side of the hook to the base of the tail. My tails, I have this tendency, I like to have my flash materials alongside if I can. Probably once it gets in the water it doesn't make a hill of beans difference, but that's what I like to do. And then I'm just going to trim these fibers just slightly longer than the tips of the tails. So I've got my tail material tied in. Now for the body material, I'm going to use some crystal chenille. This is a peacock color. It's a small, if you will, small sized crystal chenille. I'm going to try and keep things slender. I'm just going to secure that in at the base, carry our tying thread forward, right up to the rear of the bead. Got a few fuzzies there, we're going to trim those out of the way. For the hackle in front, I'm going to take a dyed black pheasant rump feather that came off of a pheasant rump cape, and I'm just going to strip away the flue or the fluff at the base of the feather here to expose just the nice parts of the feather. All that soft down is gone, and I'm just going to take this right at the rear of the bead. I'm going to hold that pheasant rump feather on top of the shank, get it into position, and tie it down. I've got the stem firmly in place now, and trim off the stem. So again, this is tied in so that you can see that the concave side of the feather, the least prominently marked side of the feather, is facing the rear of the fly. The most prominently marked or convex side of the feather is facing out in front here. When we wind this around the shank to form a little hackle, it's going to flow back over the fly naturally. Now we're just going to form our body. We're going to take our crystal chenille, put a half turn in it, and then I like to twist the crystal chenille if I can to further tighten it and make those little crystal chenille fibers radiate out even more. We're just going to wind that up, right up behind the bead. Quick little tie off, 2 over top, 1 or 2 in behind to lock it in place. Carefully trim away the excess. And all that's left to do now is to wind the hackle. So I'm going to take a positioning wrap. I like to do this with all hackles I wrap, whether it's wet fly style like this or dry fly hackles. I'm going to take that positioning wrap with my hands to make sure that that dark side of the feather is facing forward, or the convex side of the feather is facing the right way. There's no twist in the feather. And I'm just going to make, pheasant rump is beautiful because you're probably going to get one complete wrap. We want to keep this sparse. That's what we've got, and we just sort of zigzag our thread through behind the bead, tie that off, come in with our scissors, carefully trim out the tip section. And what we're going to do as well at this time, I'm going to wrap the hackle and the whip finish all in one motion. So I'm going to coat my tying thread with a little bit of super glue to carry that in right behind the base, at the base of the feather and behind the bead, and it's going to come in with my thumb and forefinger, sweep everything back, and build that right in there. And when I'm happy, I will come in and then do my whip finish. 1, 2, 3, 4. trim away the excess. And then to train those fibers to sweep back, I'm just going to come in, and the beauty of any soft tackle, you can just do an aggressive pinch, and you'll get that to flow back. And this just adds a little bit of movement. You can also come in with a toothbrush as well, and just brush the fly a little bit, and that'll break away the fibers so they're not flowing back. And you can use any hackle, but pheasant rump is a naturally soft material. It's not always the most even fibered material, lots of broken ends at times, so if that bothers you, you can just trim them in. The fish don't seem to mind. And this pitching leech is one of the more popular leeches we offer for sale on our online Stillwater fly fishing store. So there you have it, the pitching leech, great to hang under an indicator or as a cast and stripped pattern. It's got a little long strand there I don't particularly like. I'll just pull that back out of the way, that's not going to affect it. But again, tie it in a multitude of colors. It's a great, simple searching fly that pitches and undulates on a steady hand twist or 4 to 6 inch strip retrieve. Make sure you got some of these in your leech section. For more information on fly fishing, and Stillwater fly fishing in particular, please visit my website at flycraftangling.com. Here you'll find lots of information, including fly fishing tips, fly patterns, articles, dates on my seminars and schools, along with links to my blog and mine and Brian Chan's online Stillwater fly fishing shop. You can also visit our store directly at stillwaterflyfishingstore.com. Please join the conversation on my Facebook page or follow me on Twitter. Thanks for watching, and please take the time to watch my other tying videos as well.